Welcome to the Vertical Presents webinar program. Vertical Presents is our program that delivers webinars that are designed to help you learn more about the many facets of communications. You can see what webinars are coming up and our past video recordings by visiting vertical.com and navigating to webinars under the Learn tab on the menu navigation. Today's webinar is AI-based customer experience tools. We're lucky to have Craig Gironda, Vertical Senior Vice President of Customer Experience, as our presenter today.
Thanks very much, Julie. I really appreciate the intro, and I'm looking forward to presenting today's content to everyone. We're going to dive right into it and start with who we are. Vertical Communications, we've been around for a long time. We're a full service communications provider. That's UCaaS, CCaaS, CPaaS. We're doing a lot of work in AI, and today's webinar will show you some of the elements in the AI toolkit that we're working with. And I really want you to think of us as a strategic consultative partner who can help you define and implement, measure, and evolve all of the great customer experiences you need to deliver to be successful in your business. We do have something we call a vertical difference, and that really is based around our philosophy, our people, the processes we have in place, the partners we select to work with, and the platforms that they have, and our experience, really our knowledge and know-how. And that's really highlighted by the fact that on a Net Promoter Score measurement scale, which is a pretty big scoring scale for customer satisfaction globally, anything over a 40 is considered pretty good. Anything over a 50 on a scale of 100 is considered to be excellent. Above 60 is world class. Our lifetime score with Net Promoter Scores from our customers, it's 83. That's a number that is extremely hard to achieve and to maintain. We're very proud of that. But we are going to focus on outcomes, delivering great outcomes to you, and making sure that we're that strategic consultative partner who's going to bring extra value, not just technology, but our knowledge and our know-how to what we do with you. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. We have a customer experience practice, and there are 8 elements to the practice. I'm not going to go through all 8 of these, but the consulting component is extremely important. Analytics, integrations, application, every one of these are important. Today, we're going to focus on customer experience AI design. And I like to call that DIME, design, implement, measure, and evolve. So we're going to go into the fact that AI has many, many facets, but we're going to focus on AI as it relates to your UCaaS, CCaaS, and CPaaS, right? Your communications, your contact center, and all of the applications and integrations. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And there are tools to help improve these customer experiences. Remember, customer experience is the foundation that we're working with. Everything is designed to improve customer experiences and define who your customers are. They can be customers who are new customers, existing customers. It could even be companies that you're working with that are vendors that you consider customers. They can be third-party companies that you work with that help enhance what you do. It can be your constituents, the people you work with, and your employees, and making sure that you're taking everybody into account when you're designing these customer experiences. So what I found with AI is it's a pretty broad term. For the last 3 years, we've been living the ChatGPT bubble. And a lot of people just take AI and think it's one thing. It's, hey, I can go into ChatGPT or Grok or any of a number of different AI tools, ask questions and get great answers, and help me make spreadsheets and create images. All different kinds of things that you can do with AI. But my experience has been with working with customers is AI is a pretty big toolkit. Where can you start using this toolkit? Where does it make the most sense? So I like to use the philosophy of crawl, walk, run. when talking about any new technologies that we're implementing into a business, especially when it impacts your constituents in your business and your customers. So we're going to dive into a few of the different types of tools that are in the AI toolkit when it is focused on your communications, your contact center, and integrations. So the first one is the one that's probably the most prominent and the most used by companies. It's been around for many years, and that's a chatbot. And that could be a digital chatbot where I'm typing in text, or it could actually be a voice chatbot. And these chatbots will allow the customer to come in to your website or call into a number. And the beauty of it is they're actually pretty easy to implement if you have a pretty good idea of what you want to accomplish. Again, crawl, walk, run is in play here. And they can be accessed through the web or a mobile device or even through social media. So these chatbots are usually pretty basic, right, on purpose. Ask it a question, it can reply with an answer. And you may or may not have the ability with a chatbot to escalate it to a live agent or a live person. Tons of companies providing this. In the space that we're talking about today, companies like RingCentral and 8x8 and Zoom and NICE, and we can go on the list of dozens of companies that provide these functions. But this is pretty straightforward. Again, it's up to you to make it available to the customer via voice or digital. And one of the real nice things about it is it can be 24/7. So you've got to be careful in your planning, because if you're not staffing your call center, your contact center 24/7, you have to have some rules in place if you want a customer to be able to escalate a chat into a live agent. Well, if you don't have live agents, we've got to make sure we're programmatically taking that into account and letting the customers know also. So that's one point of entry. The next one that is an AI-based tool of point of entry is speech recognition and real-time transcription. Now, there are a couple of elements to this, but basically what you are doing is taking spoken word and converting it instantly. And that can be for calls, meetings, or even voicemail, right? It can take anything and convert it into text. Now, while it's doing that conversion, there are some tools that can actually translate. And that translation means that I can have a conversation. If I only speak English, I can have a conversation with someone who is using another language. We don't do a lot of that right now for translation, but I think on the horizon, you're going to see more and more adoption of that as the global economy continues to expand. And of course, if you're in an area that has a population mix where there are people that speak languages like Spanish or Chinese, these types of tools can be a big help. Now, another good use for this, I found, is using the real-time closed captioning tools. And that allows me, even if I don't hear what somebody says, it gives me a good idea. I can read what they're saying in those closed captioning. And it will also summarize the interactions that you're having. And that can be during a call, it can be during a video meeting, it could be anywhere. Again, lots of companies doing this. Now, some of these are very basic and very easy. And some of them, as we see in the next bullet point, sentiment analysis, have a second layer to them, which is not only will they do the transcription, but they will also be listening for tone, pitch, words, phrases, to give you an idea of what that sentiment of the customer is during that interaction. And when programmed to allow the system to listen in, it can also automatically escalate a notification to a supervisor and say, hey, this call is trending with a sentiment rating in a negative direction. Why don't you listen in? And that, based on your communications platform, the supervisor can listen in, monitor, right? And in some cases, barge in and take over the call in an extreme case. Don't like to do that, but you can do that. And these sentiment analysis and emotion detection tools can also integrate into third-party tools, for example, your CRM, and give things context to the customer. I think those are extremely important elements that we see more and more companies trying to implement. And there are two elements here. There's the real-time element with sentiment and emotion detection, and then there's the historical. So when looking at these tools, whichever they are inside the AI toolkit, we want to look at the perspective of real-time and historical, and then what business process do you take and create and monitor to make sure you're leveraging the tools in the way that you need to, and you're learning and evolving with the toolkit. Okay, so now we're getting into agentic AI, which is, think of it as a voice chatbot that's been evolved into a virtual human experience. And this does not just respond to instruction, but the agentic AI agent, they can have full conversations, and they can proactively take the conversation in different directions and even determine if they need to themselves escalate that interaction to a live agent for assistance. And that is a significant advance in the AI toolkit. And it can be multi-step actions. I can call up and have a conversation where I'm asking questions, and it may even escalate me if I am gone past what that agentic AI agent is trained to do. It might bring in a live agent, but it also may bring in another agentic agent for assistance that's been trained to respond and assist me with the question or with the issue that I'm having. Very human-like. In many cases, you will get feedback from the customers that they didn't realize they weren't speaking with a human. And the library of voices and dialects and languages for these agentic AI agents is quite extensive. It runs into, right now, I believe the biggest library I've seen is about 130 languages. So it's quite powerful tool that's going to give you the ability to design these customer interactions where you are taking the agentic AI as a conversation with an agent more than as I'm just getting questions and answers. And I want to stress with the agentic AI that we want to be, and with all of the AI tools, we want to be continuously measuring and evaluating what's going on in those customer interactions. This is an extremely important component. It's not build it and let it run free. It is, let's build it and continue to refine it. So we want a human in the middle that will be looking at the responses, looking at the questions, and constantly refining and enhancing the responses, expanding the horizons based on the experiences you're having and the questions you're getting, and making sure that the data sources that you're pointing to are accurate and thorough enough to meet the needs that you have built into your desired outcomes for the agentic AI experience. Now, there are Tons of companies that are doing this also. Cognigy is one that we use extensively with 8x8 and RingCentral. And as a matter of fact, yesterday, Cognigy was acquired by NICE CX1, the large contact center, cloud contact center provider, but will continue to provide their services as standalone services or integrated to other service providers. And we are a Five9 partner also. We use the Five9 Inference platform. Lots of platforms out there. The key here is to make sure you understand what you're trying to do with the tools. Again, this can replace a human agent, it can supplement a human agent, or it can work hand in hand to gather information for a human agent before that interaction is escalated and make sure that information is presented to the agent before they start the interaction with the customer. All right, so we're going to go one more level here. And that's generative AI for content and knowledge management. So this is where it really starts to get very, very interesting, is because the source that you need for the AI tools is the data, the information, the knowledge, the answers, if you will, the content that must be delivered to the customer. So using the tools to create your libraries, to curate your libraries, and they could be multiple data sources. One of the things that we don't want to do with an AI tool is to point it at the open internet and say, okay, you can answer questions based on anything on the internet. That is not a very smart strategy. So we want to make sure that we understand the content that you have available, whether it is being curated, whether it's accurate, whether it's up to date, whether it has aging associated with it, so you know when you have to review it and revise it. All of these types of things will help you create a great knowledge base and great content that you can use for customer interactions. Now, the next bullet point below, the AI agent supervisor assist, so we can provide AI assist for agents and supervisors. Some people call them co-pilots. Well, that content and knowledge management above, like I said, applies to every one of the customer-facing AI tools. But now we've got a tool that's not customer-facing, but a tool that's going to allow your agents and supervisors to have contextual, real-time information delivered to them. And it might be based on the sentiment tools that we talked about earlier, or the emotion tools that we talked about earlier. It could be based on the agentic tools. It could be based on any of this. But what it's going to do is empower those agents and, of course, supervisors to be better prepared to deliver great customer experiences. It can deliver context based on that conversation. It can make recommendations. It can say, oh, here's the form that this customer's going to need to fill out. Here's the URL. Would you like to send an SMS to this customer right now? And of course, it's going to look at things like reducing after-call work. So it's going to be listening in. Again, if we go back up to speech recognition and real-time transcription tool, it's going to be listening in, and it's going to be able to do summaries, and it will be able to do that, not just a summary of or a transcription of the entire call, but it will do a summary of the call, so allowing the agent to review after the call, and you may or may not give permission for that agent to edit the summary. But it's also going to let somebody like a supervisor look at that call instead of reading through the entire transcription, but to see a very short summary that gives them the information they need to determine what to do. Not only is it going to improve customer experience and agent experience, but it's going to accelerate the ability to onboard agents or bring new lines of service into play. So if you're going to add a line of service for a new product, the co-pilot or agent assist can be trained to be able to provide the information for that new product and deliver it real time. And that will really start to reduce agent stress, because the agents can feel comfortable that they have a source of contextual, accurate information, but they also have somebody in the background curating that and making sure that it continues to meet the needs of the agent and that customer experience you're trying to deliver. Lots of companies doing this also. Some do more than others, but what is key here is, again, in the crawl, walk, run environment that we like to suggest, is you start with an easier, less complex interaction that you want to have and learn by that. And then you can accelerate as you need to accelerate, but you're going to evolve. You're going to measure, you're going to evolve, and that's where you're going to be able to start growing the footprint of AI in your environment. Okay, we have one more, and that's AI-driven workforce management. And these tools are used to schedule, forecast, and evaluate the agent and the customer experience performance. These are very important. The larger you get in an organization, the more important these tools are, because the greatest expense that you have in most contact centers today, if not all contact centers today, is the cost of the human talent that you have. And having better data and better patterns and trends to evaluate and analyze will help you staff not just the human components, but also the AI-based agent resources. Okay, so again, all of these tools extremely important, but what are some of the considerations you should be taking into account before implementing the AI tools? So this is extremely important to us, being your strategic consultative partner, being engaged with you to make sure you get what you're needing and what your business needs and what your customers need. So it's that strategic alignment is that first thing, right? What are your business objectives and your desired outcomes? We'll work with you to define those. And one of the things that we do differently here, you can buy your solutions through RingCentral or 8x8 or NICE or Dialpad or any of a number of different companies. And you can go directly to the service provider. What we do, the part of the vertical difference is that we will be your partner. We will work with you through design, implementation. We will stay in place with you, including your solutions engineer will be your solutions engineer for the life of your relationship with us, and help you to evolve. We are a value-added service that doesn't cost extra from working with a service provider. It's just intrinsic to what we do. Our culture is to make sure you're taken care of, and we have to make sure we understand your business and your business needs. So working with you to define these, get these written down, goes a long way to making sure we're going to take a journey down the correct path. And then we'll work with you to map the customer experiences that you're currently doing and determine where it makes sense to introduce AI tools. Again, crawl, walk, run. We'll define customer experiences and agent experiences with you if that's the first path we're taking. But we will work with you to make sure that you're not trying to do too much when you're starting. It's great to want to do a lot. It's much more impactful to focus on one area, do it, learn, evolve, and then rinse and repeat. The area that I see probably the most overlooked in the considerations, do you have the content and data and the curation mentality to curate and maintain it, make sure it's accurate and high quality and thorough of the data that we need to draw upon for AI to use as its library. And it's not a one and done. It's a ongoing process, and it's an ongoing refinement process, because the tools that are out there today allow the AI to answer on their own, but they're much more effective as you continue to go and work with the AI tools and the data set to make sure you're refining the responses, the questions, and the paths that you want the AI tools to take. Now, security compliance and AI governance. AI governance is a fairly new term. We're doing a project with a large company, and for their contact center. And not only did we have to pass all of their security evaluations, but we had to go through a separate AI governance evaluation and scrutiny. And I will work with you to define what AI governance is, because things like, where is that data going? So if I'm using 8x8 or RingCentral or NICE for AI, are they using the data to train their AI? Or is that data being segregated and not being used for that? Those are extremely important questions. Are they going to allow me to use my own generative AI engine? For example, I might choose Chat or ChatGPT or one of multiple other engines, or are they going to force me to use their engine, right? And there's a lot of chatter about that. You know, Microsoft probably wants you to use, right, their engine, and in the future they'll want you to use it more and more, and Google will want you to use Gemini in the future. Is that an option, or is it going to be a requirement? We don't know, but it's good to understand these elements. And for security and compliance, depending on your business, we'll work with you to make sure that we are meeting all of your security, compliance, and AI governance needs. Another area, and this is an area where we're working with a company right now that has an on-premise system. They do not want to replace their on-premise system, but they want to put AI tools in place for some customer self-service automation. Well, that's great. We have options on how to do that. And there are plenty of companies that do these third-party integrations. And in this particular case, we're working with a company called Cognigy. And as I mentioned before, Cognigy was recently acquired by NICE. But Cognigy will allow that AI platform that they have to integrate to their current PBX. And there are different ways to do it. We can put it in the AI in front of the PBX and use it not only to help the call center, but to maybe they want a voice auto attendant that automatically will help customers find the right resources within the organization or the person within the organization, or we can put it behind their PBX. We'll work with you to evaluate the platforms. And in some cases, there are options where there are buyouts available. Some of these companies are getting very, very aggressive, and they'll look at your current lease or your current premise-based solution or cloud solution, and they might offer you either a buyout or some free service to get you to move over. So we'll work with you on all of that. Okay, we're coming down to the wire here. So 2 more items. Vendor and partner ecosystems. I think this could be one of the more challenging things to investigate, or areas to investigate for companies today. And we see reports and we see information that when they talk about the buyer's journey, hey, I'm a company, I'm thinking about replacing what I currently have or adding something new, that the buyers do a lot of research today, and that could be up to about 65% of the research before they contact a partner like us or contact a service provider like NICE or 8x8. And what happens in that time of you doing your own research, there are a lot of factors that are involved. And if you're using the tools that these partners have online on their websites or any of the documents that they might offer or the demos they might do, you may or may not be getting the full picture. And if they are not aligned and understand your strategic business objectives and desired outcomes, you may pick a system that is not right for you. It might be too expensive. It might be too complicated. You might not be able to self-administer it. The reporting package might be, not what you think it is. There are many factors involved. So working with a strong partner like Vertical, we're going to not only help you understand where the technology of the vendors are today, but we'll work with you so you can understand what their published roadmaps are. And different companies have very different strategies. Companies like Dialpad and 8x8 have a very open strategy, meaning that they have a very robust third-party integration program that opens the APIs to third parties to do a tighter integration, to be much more tied into the UCaaS, CCaaS, or CPaaS platform and their AI tools. It can be very eye-opening and enlightening, including, do I get to put in widgets into my agent workspace? So my agent can see not just the CCaaS reporting real time, but they can see what's going on with the AI reporting, or my supervisor is a supervisor workspace. So we want to work with you to make sure we identify, if you're looking at these new tools, that you're picking the right platforms, the right service providers. And then last is, can we do a proof of concept? I think we do a good deal of proof of concept here at Vertical. We start with a small scale POC, again, crawl, walk, run, define what success looks like, and then go do that POC. And that's going to give you an opportunity to look at more than just the platform. So I want to be really clear on this. Years and years ago, when you were evaluating perhaps a premise-based phone solution, you looked at the hardware that sat in a rack, you looked at the phones, you looked at some of the software features, and that was it. But today, it's much more important to look at more factors. It's that entire holistic view. So looking at, is the platform the right platform? Do I have the right service provider? Do the service providers have the right philosophy and how they treat their customers and how they treat their partners? Now, as you're doing the proof of concept, you also want to look at things like, well, how is the implementation going to work? So we'll work with you and with our implementation team, so you'll know you're going to get a certified project manager. You're going to get a team of people that will be working with you, and just as important as that team, that we're going to make sure that we transition from the sales part of your journey to the implementation part of your journey to the lifecycle management part of your journey with no gaps and no hiccups. So all those people will be involved throughout that journey, and you'll get to see how does that work. Well, how does support work? Vertical is pretty unique. There are not a lot of verticals out there, in that we are also handling your billing, and we're handling your support, and we're handling your account management. So all things will come through Vertical. So you're going to have that one strategic partner who helps you with everything. And that's another part of the Vertical advantage. So when we're doing that proof of concept, don't just look at the technology or the platform. Look at that whole experience that you're going to have, because you're going to have to live with it for a long time. And you're going to have to live with a partner for a long time. And we want to be that partner for you. And that's why our Net Promoter Scores are so high. We work very, very diligently. We have processes in place, documents in place, timelines in place to make sure we hit your desired outcomes. So Julie, that's what I have for today. We wanted to keep it very high level. We can go into a deeper level, not only on any of the AI tools, but we can evaluate what your needs are. We can work with you to show you some of the systems that are out there, to showcase what's available, and see how we can work with you to improve those great customer experiences.
Greg, thank you so much for breaking that all down for us. I especially appreciate your crawl, walk, run philosophy. It seems like AI is more of a runaway train than anything, so having a good perspective of making sure it applies to exactly the thing you want to apply it to and not just implementing AI for AI's sake. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions later on after digesting this information and how it might apply to you and your organization, you can email those questions over to webinar@vertical.com. Thank you so much for attending. We hope you have new information or a new perspective on what AI can do for you and your customer experience journey. To learn more about Vertical, please visit us at vertical.com and have a great rest of your week.